is an Oreo. This is a human, which you should not consume. Cannibalism is bad, bad. Stop calling me an Oreo, stop. It's rude, it's ignorant, probably true. It is so fucked up living in a super white area, being a black woman. All right, I'll have the report back to you next week. All right, thanks, see you next week. You know, you're so pretty for a black girl. Thanks. You're so handsome for a racist. Every time I have a job interview, the reaction is just priceless. All right, Kelly Stamps. Kelly Stamps. Hi, so nice to meet you. Wow, you don't sound like other black people. What were you expecting me to sound like? Telling me I sound nice for a black girl is not a compliment. Someone this week told me, but you're not like black. I'm not black? What? You know, since being black isn't enough to prove that I am indeed black, let's go find stereotypical things about my life to prove that I am black.
Hello everybody, this is Kelly Stamps, and I am experiencing rapid growth on YouTube. It is rewarding to finally get delivered, but there are some things that I don't want to get delivered. In fact, I would like to return some of these packages, but I can't because it comes with the territory of being a YouTube creator. Today I will discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly regarding growing online. Let's start with something good. Let's start with more money.
You are quitting YouTube.
Bye!
Why?
And because you will inevitably have haters in your comment section, no matter how unproblematic you are. I once had a black man comment on one of my videos way back when my white ex made a brief cameo, and he said, "You must hate being black, sister. Get yourself a black man." And I'm like, how could I hate being black? I've read so many Ebony and Jet magazines, and I've seen all of the Friday movies. You, sir, are wrong. How could I hate black people? I digress. Black channels can feel redundant. Say it loud, I am black and I'm proud. And I am honest, and this is the honest tea. There are only so many hair and makeup videos I can watch until I get bored.
Where were you the first time you saw Kelly Stamps? I remember mine clearly. I was on a graveyard shift at Amazon just scrolling through YouTube to stay awake, and her video how I film and edit my YouTube videos popped up.
Hello everyone, this is Kelly Stamps, back again with another quality video. I love dogs. I love tiramisu. But I also love sharing knowledge. The worst kind of people, aside from those people who walk too slowly on the sidewalk, are those who hoard information. They are afraid of their ideas being stolen, and they are also afraid of being outshined. But lucky for you, I am afraid of nothing except for June bugs, aka the holographic drone bugs that fly around in summertime and ruin my life. Bottom line, I love transparency and sharing knowledge. I also just got my first YouTube paycheck, so I thought I should make this in celebration of that.
That was it. That was my first real introduction to her. And the thing is, it didn't feel like you're watching a YouTuber in the traditional sense. She wasn't performing, she wasn't yelling into the camera with fake enthusiasm. She was just talking. She was dry, sarcastic, unbothered, and somehow funny without even trying.
I once had a black man comment on one of my videos way back when my white ex made a brief cameo, and he said, "You must hate being black, sister. Get yourself a black man." And I'm like, how could I hate being black? I've read so many Ebony and Jet magazines, and I've seen all of the Friday movies. You, sir, are wrong. How could I hate black people? I digress. Lastly, you will need patience because it takes around 6 months to a year to develop any sort of fan base. Be patient. Let's get to editing, shall we?
That moment stuck with me because this is me in Amazon, working the night shifts, packing people's orders, receiving items from different warehouses and different countries into the warehouse, and making sure that I do not leave my station for more than 2 minutes. And this is someone who was just doing the bare minimum and getting this amount of views. And of course, I wanted to watch and see how she edits her videos because I wanted to be on that, okay? But you know what? That moment when I saw her video, it stuck with me because it was so different from what I was so used to seeing. Most creators would do everything like the jump cuts and the exaggerated energy, and here is Kelly literally just expressing or explaining her process with this calm, almost awkward energy that made her feel real.
At the end of this video, you will have the tools to get a channel started with the most basic editing skills. Before I continue, please stop what you're doing and subscribe to my channel, not just because it strokes my ego, but because I plan to make more of these editing YouTube advice videos and you do not want to miss out. The tools you will need include a camera, a tripod, iMovie, thick skin, and patience.
And I think that's why so many people gravitated towards her. She wasn't just polished in the way that YouTube usually rewards people, but she was very relatable. From there, it was very easy to fall into her world. She would post vlog or this little day in the life videos. She also did like random stories. And none of it was groundbreaking, but the way she told them just made you want to keep watching.
Oh, hello, I am Kelly Stamps. I am a broke bitch moving to the Big Apple. Why? Because I feel like it. Okay, so I need to go to bed. My flight is very early in the morning, but I will continue this vlog. Until then, this is my last sleep as a Californian.
She built the stampede on that energy, and it made sense. People wanted someone who didn't feel like they were a walking advertisement or a Netflix audition tape. But with that kind of authenticity comes a different set of problems. So many people can get too comfortable and boundaries get blurry. And suddenly you're dealing with more than just uploading a funny video. That's been the story with Kelly, trying to balance her unfiltered personality with the reality of internet fame.
Hey, this is Kelly Stamps, and I have a rant for you this evening. I don't like most people. I don't. That's why I do YouTube. That's why I stay in the comfort of my apartment. I make a living talking to my camera. It is a dream come true, truly. But every now and then I have these encounters where I start to think. You know, I grab a signal from my pineapple ponytail. I'm starting to tingle, and I feel like I'm getting this spiritual message, or maybe it's God talking to me, saying my role on this earth, for some reason, whether I like it or not, is to deal with stupid people so that they can have their encounter and learn from it. I don't want to be the person that they, learn from. I'm sick of it. If you're like me, regardless of how you act, whether you're having a good day or a bad day, however you're portraying yourself, it doesn't matter. There's an energy that some of us just have that tells people, come on in. Maybe it's the pineapple, come on in. I don't know. I think it's great to be an inviting person. But when you have this problem, you invite crazy and all these unwanted people that you don't want.
And now, with her leaning more into faith and new projects, it feels like she's in a different season of her life.
New focus. You talk so much more about your religion.
Yeah.
And I remember you said in that course of deciding what to do, you even had a dream where there was a voice.
Yeah, it's weird. It was very weird. I haven't had anything like that ever since, by the way. It was a dream, and usually I forget my dreams. I don't dream a lot. But this dream was a weird thing where I was in a car with my mom, and I think my dad was there too. But he was just kind of like in a restful state. And it's interesting because he's dead. So I'm like, that's weird. It's almost like he was there in the dream, kind of guiding us somewhere, but there was like a weird mist. And basically there was a voice, which I've never heard in my life. I don't hear people or see faces in dreams, but it just said it's time to rest and it's time to move on. That's it. When I woke up, I had this instant, again, it's hard to explain unless you have that spiritual connection with yourself where you feel that strong intuition. Something just said, start over.
She's not the same Kelly that I first found out in the late night shift in Amazon, but that's kind of the point. She's grown, she's shifted, and she's figuring out how to keep creating without losing herself in the process.
But I said, I think I regret going viral. About 15% of my followers, the OG people, knew me. But the vast majority who came in really fast, like a fast-moving, lust-filled relationship, they left as fast. But I think the hardest transition is from like 25 to 28, which is when you realize the things I talked about before, which is that, unfortunately, a lot of relationships in your life that you find are going to be conditional, meaning, they're going to give conditional love. They're transactional. And the reason why I think it's so frustrating for me in particular is that as a former people pleaser, which I've mentioned a few times lately, people got comfortable thinking that they could do whatever they want with me. I'll go to Kelly for advice, but it never goes both ways. Oh, Kelly's the funny friend. We'll go to her for emotional support when we're fighting with our man, because that's what female friendships really are most of the time. Girls don't actually like you. They don't want to be your friend. insecure women don't. I mean, there are mentally stable people like me who want real friends, and I am finding them now. But it's just this transactional thing. It's like take.
Hi guys, my name is Jewel. Welcome to my channel, and I hope I earn your subscription by the end of the night. But I actually give commentary, deep dives, anything that piques my interest, I speak about it. And that being said, let's get straight into this video. Who is Skelly Stamps? Skelly Stamps was born on May 30th, 1996 in the US. She doesn't really share much about her early life, and honestly, I kind of respect that. Not everyone wants to lay out their whole childhood for the internet, and it makes sense because once you put it out there, you can't really take it back.
If you talk less, strangers are less likely to give their unsolicited advice that you probably don't want to hear. I mean, they still might give their opinions whether you talk or not, but talking less has led to a happier life for me. I talk to my camera, I talk to my friends, but in general, I've kept my conversations very short and limited. I was worried that I was being mean. I'm someone who just hates ignoring people. I was sitting at Washington Square Park yesterday, and this homeless lady came up to me and she's like, "You got a dollar?" I said, "No, I'm sorry."
But from what we do know, you can tell that she's always had that independent streak. She went to school for a while, but money was an issue. And instead of struggling through, she was like, you know what? Let me figure this out in my own way. And that's when she turned to YouTube. She even said herself, she was like, let me pull up my YouTube really quick, make a bunch of money, save money, and go back to school.
I actually executed this in January. I said, all right, clearly this working for other people thing isn't working out. This going to school on a budget thing isn't really my jam. I want to be a rich, privileged student, you know? Like, I want to be that student who works part-time just because they want to have some extracurricular activities. I'm not trying to go back to college and work 2 to 3 jobs and maybe get a job after. So I decided, let me pull up on YouTube real quick, make a bunch of money, save money, and go back to school and be privileged. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I took my channel from 6,000 to 100. I think right now I have 138,000, and it's just growing and growing. And it's the hardest way to make easy money. Let's put it that way.
And the crazy thing, she actually made that happen. Imagine going from 6,000 subscribers to making enough money to live and plan your life around it in just a few months. Honestly, that's wild. One thing that really humanized her for me was that she talked about her dad Vincent. He had dementia and sadly passed away in July of 2020. And she didn't sugarcoat that part of her life, she just shared it, and you could tell that it was a really heavy loss.
I'm not happy right now. I'm happy. I'm just very, because my dad passed away and I already knew it was coming. That's not, why I'm sad. There's other stuff going on too.
For someone who usually comes across as funny and lighthearted, that moment just showed her vulnerable side. And I think that's part of why people just connected with her so much. It's not just about her being quirky or deadpan, it's about the fact that she lets you in on the real stuff too. She started her channel back in June 2017. At first, it wasn't some overnight success story, and that's probably why I liked her. She was just vlogging her life in Santa Monica, like doing little routines, the local lifestyle, what it was like living there as a young woman, figuring things out. And back then, it wasn't glamorous. She was just showing how to live cheap in a not so cheap city, talking about being introverted and just navigating life in her own way.
I ordered a house salad. They literally gave me a container full of leaves. Do I look like a cow?
By the end of 2019, she only had a few thousand subscribers, but she was consistent, and then 2020 rolled in, and that's when she really took off. The video that really took off was I moved to NYC on my own, and she posted this in February. I'll be honest, when I saw that video, I was glued though. The way she told the story about just picking up and moving cross country on her own with that dry deadpan humor of hers, it was very, very impressive, I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't the usual look at me thriving in New York kind of vlog. It was real, and that's what people were just craving at that time.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I'm just a New Yorker. Enjoying New York. I finished my pizza. That was the best meal I've had in a very long time. This is Dumbo. Look at this incredible neighborhood. Ugh. So I got 2 hours of sleep last night. Right now I'm actually gonna go view an apartment, a studio in Brooklyn, and I will be heading to bed. Then I will be doing another apartment viewing at 10 a.m. There is absolutely no time to waste. I did a little bit of homework before I got here, so that helps a lot. I went on Craigslist, I emailed a bunch of people. My name is Kelly Stamps. I want to live with you. It worked, and a lot of people got back to me. Honestly, it's pretty easy moving to New York. I'm single, I don't have kids, I don't have student debt. That's because I didn't go to college. But I have a skill set and I have great eyebrows, and nothing will stop me in this world as long as I put my mind to it. I must say though, it really helps to have a friend who you can stay with for a few nights before you move in somewhere. Otherwise, you can go to a hostel. They're like $40 a night, or Airbnb. Anyway, it's about 7 p.m. now. I'm so excited, I'm hyper, I'm not scared anymore, I'm just thrilled, I'm so happy. I am just starting off new, leaving all my baggage behind me. Good night. See you tomorrow.
From that point, her subscriber counts just blew up, and suddenly everyone just wanted a piece of Kelly's stamp. Like, she did what most YouTubers had never done. She moved up to 600,000 subscribers in a year from just 6,000. When Kelly's channel started growing, she added more variety, but she kept the same energy. Her videos turned into a mix of daily vlogs, advice, travel, and her usual sarcastic commentary. The lifestyle ones were some of her best, in my own opinion. She literally showed everything that she owned as a minimalist, or explain how she made it work in expensive cities like New York. She was always talking about keeping things simple and finding ways to save money, and you could tell that she actually lived that way. Her advice videos, they were funny because she never overcomplicated anything. She made videos about starting YouTube with no subscribers or tips for new creators, and she even delivered it all in a very deadpan way.
Hello, my name is Kelly Stamps. I am an awkward, skinny black girl living in New York, and I'm allergic to cashews. I am emotionally unavailable and apparently funny, so welcome to my channel. My channel mostly consists of vlogs, but I wanted to do a more helpful video today. Not that my vlogs aren't helpful, because, you know, I'm helping you through your depression, whether you know it or not. But given the amount of direct messages I have on Instagram, I thought, why not make a simple, helpful, informative video on how to start and maintain a YouTube channel when you're starting from scratch. As you can see, I'm not blonde, I'm not Australian, I don't have huge tits, so you're probably thinking, damn Kelly, how do you do it? Well, there's a formula. And there's also just a natural innate talent. You either have it or you don't. And I think I have it. But if you don't have it, that is okay, because there are ways to start your channel and create a following from zero. So I'm going to sit down here on this lovely table and give you some pointers.
It felt like a conversation instead of like a lecture, which was why people listened and gravitated towards her.
I have my little Muji notepad here and Muji pen and Muji puffer, but you know, I'm not trying to flex or anything, I just did. I have a list here of things that I think are highly important to starting your channel. Thumbnails. Number one, thumbnails are highly important. Why? Because it is the first impression of your channel, the first impression of what your video is about. And overall, it is the deciding factor between if someone will click on your content or not. Get a crisp, clear thumbnail. Put some text over it. You all found me through my moving video. Why? Because I had a badass thumbnail. I was in front of a river, I was turned around, you could see a little bit of my body, and I was twisted like this, I believe, kind of like, and that was the thumbnail. This is the perfect example of a quality thumbnail. I had my body in it, it wasn't taking up the whole shot, I wasn't like, look at my body, I'm so snatched. No, 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 no. The focus was the background. I took that photo, I put it onto my favorite app, VSCO, otherwise known as Visco, and I sharpened it. I put a filter on it. My favorite filter to use is C6 currently, or L6. They're just vibrant colors that bring out the reds and the oranges. If you don't know how to make a custom thumbnail, just keep watching right now. Let's make an example.
Then there were her random travel moments. She went on solo trips to Italy, and once she even traveled to another city just to get a taco. Stuff like that just literally showed how quirky she was, and it just kept her content very unpredictable. She also played around with street interviews in New York and started doing little character skits in her edit. That was where Stampede University came from. She acted like a professor just giving life advice to her subscribers, and it was silly, but it was also clever. What tied it all together? Sorry guys, I'll look at my recorder if it was recording. What tied it all together was her delivery. Kelly never overdid it. She spoke in a straight, calm way that just made everything funnier. Her editing matched that too. Sharp cuts, meme inserts, perfectly timed pauses. She left in awkward bits which made her feel more real. That mix of humor, honesty and imperfection was what made her stand out. People felt like they knew her because she did not try to polish everything or act like someone that she wasn't. And speaking about this, let's talk about something else that will get you out of a stressful situation that does not equal this. 1 minute you're clocking in at work and the next you're on the ground with a serious injury. That's exactly what happened to a guy I heard about. He slipped on a wet floor, broke his ankle and suddenly couldn't walk for months. He thought that filing through his company's insurance would be simple. Instead, they dragged their feet and offered him almost nothing. There is a reason influencer scandals go viral. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. If you are in a serious accident or are injured in any way, your case could actually be worth millions. With over 1,000 attorneys across the country and 35 years of experience, Morgan & Morgan will fight to get you the money that you deserve. They've recovered more than $25 billion for over 500,000 clients, and their results speak volume. In Pennsylvania, one client was offered $650,000 but walked away with $26 million after Morgan & Morgan fought for them. In Florida, another client went from $0 offer to a $20 million verdict. The best part, starting a claim is simple. You can do it online in minutes right from your couch. No stacks of paperwork, no endless office visits. So, if you're ever injured at work, you can check out Morgan & Morgan because their fee is free unless they win. You can just click the link in the description box or scan the QR code on screen to start your claim today. That being said, let's speak about her rise to fame and success. Kelly's channel took a while to just get moving, but once it did, everything changed fast. For almost 2 years, she was sitting on just a few thousand subscribers, uploading here and there without much attention. Then 2020 came and it was like the switch flipped because at the start of January, she had around 6,000 subscribers, and by the end of that same month, she already had 10,000 subscribers. From there, it just kept climbing. When lockdown started and everyone was just stuck inside watching YouTube channel, her channel literally blew up. By May, she had already passed 100,000 subscribers and she got her silver plaque. A couple of weeks later, she even went higher. That was the point where people really started noticing her, where she went from being a small creator to someone with a big audience. And by the end of that year, she was seen as one of the standouts in the lifestyle space. Her subscriber counts just jumped into the hundreds of thousands, and not long after, she was sitting close to 700,000 subscribers, and she did all that in a year. A lot of her videos from that time went viral. Stuff about saving money, being single, or her funny POV skits. Some of them pulled in over 1 million views, and she even showed up on the Wendy Williams show in 2020. She wasn't on stage being interviewed, at least from what I saw on her YouTube channel. She was more like a background feature, but it was a big deal. Months before, she was just another YouTuber making videos in her room, and suddenly she was popping up on daytime TV. Money-wise, she was open about what she earned, which made people even much more curious. She shared her AdSense number, she talked about sponsorship.
I gripped you and stole your hearts in the past few months. Over 400,000 something hearts, I must add. How did I execute this internet domination plan? Well, I treated this like a job from day one. And you know, when you start a new job, you should always study what the executives are doing. In this case, we are going to study what successful YouTubers are doing.
And once even broke down how she managed to spend $40,000 in a single month.
So this is the amount that I make from AdSense roughly every month. On the low end, 13,000. On the higher end, 15,500 or higher. That is just the range. You know, honestly, it depends on views sometimes. Sometimes it is just the right titles at the right time and place. Now, in terms of sponsorships, I usually earn a minimum 24,500, ranging upwards to 40,000 a month. That is in addition to the AdSense. So AdSense gets delivered on the 21st. When I do a sponsorship from my 2 companies that I work with, I get paid usually 10 days after.
Yo, like my video, watch my video, share my video with your family and friends. We need to reach 1 million views in this video. 40,000 what? At her peak, she was making tens of thousands every month. She joked about being a future millionaire. She later admitted that she wasn't anymore after her spending habits literally caught up with her. But still, she turned YouTube into real money. For a lot of people, her story during 2020 just felt like a good thing in the middle of a rough year. She was funny, she was honest, she was a little unbothered, and she gave people something different to watch when everything else felt heavy. Now, let's speak about her key controversies. Kelly's rise wasn't all smooth. The bigger her audience got, the more complicated things just got too. A lot of people genuinely saw her as a friend during lockdown, almost like this virtual best friend who just kept them company while life was heavy. But that closeness came with problems. Some people started expecting too much, like constant updates and access to every detail of her life. A few even crossed the line with weird behaviors. People tracked down her whereabouts. People dug into her personal business. She spoke about the pressure, and honestly, I don't blame her for pulling back. That authenticity that people loved quickly turned into entitlement, and it was clear that she wasn't comfortable with that.
If you're like me, regardless of how you act, whether you're having a good day or a bad day, however you're portraying yourself, it doesn't matter. There's an energy that some of us just have that tells people, come on in. Maybe it's the pineapple, come on in. I don't know. I think it's great to be an inviting person. But when you have this problem, you invite crazy and all these unwanted people that you don't want.
The reason why I was so mad, particularly the other day, is that I was at this fine dining restaurant in Dallas, okay? And I was excited, you know, the weather was terrible the other day. And I said, let me go outside, let me put on a nice outfit. I put on heels with bootcut jeans and this exact sweater, which I will link if you're curious, but it's, you know, it's not like amazing quality or anything. It's just a nice, you know, fold over sweater. It's very trendy right now. But let me take this off because it's actually getting kind of hot. And I'm sitting there at this table and it's nice. You know, it's not Ocean Prime, but it's somewhere similar. And I was just sitting here like, this is so nice. I can't remember the last time that I went to a fancy restaurant and actually sat at a table instead of the bar. And this host, sorry, not the host, the server comes up to me. She wasn't my server. She came from someone else's section. She comes up to me and she interrupts me during my meal and goes, hey, and she leaned on this is a real story, guys. I don't care if you guys think I'm like bitchy for saying this. This is my life. This is true. She leans on the table like she knows me. And she just goes, hey, so my partner and I guess she meant her boyfriend or something, or girlfriend. My partner and I are trying to start a YouTube channel on like whatever topic she said. So like, do you have any tips for us? And I'm just like, didn't this just happen 2 days ago? I was at a bar in Preston Hollow where a host did the same thing. She was more harmless, just, not thinking. But at this fine dining establishment where I want to just feel like any other customer, there's all these old people in there who come in their vineyard vines and they look very expensive and like, meh. But why is it that you don't respect me? So then my mind is going down this whole rabbit hole. Is it because I'm a girl? Is it because I'm young? Is it because I'm black? I mean, like, do you have any tips for us? I go, you can go to my YouTube channel, Kelly Stamps. There are millions of views on those videos. Why aren't you going to that? So then someone else comes up again, an hour later. Same thing. Yo, we were talking in the kitchen. I guess you're like some YouTuber. This guy just talking to me like this. Like, yo, I guess you're some YouTuber. I'm at a fine dining restaurant. This dude is at a stance like we're talking at the gas station. And that's when I realized people don't respect me because I allowed the people pleasing. But in this case, they don't know who I am. They actually don't know anything. They were just gossiping in the kitchen. I guess there's a big YouTuber here sitting down at a table by herself. Let's go bug her. Now, I can't change what they did there. But you can change how people treat you from that point forward. I told him, get away from my table, please. He just left. That's it. They never bothered me again. I've been back to that place 3 times. Nothing ever happened. So that's, can you imagine dealing with this like at least twice a week ever since, my channel kind of got really well known. But I'm just so glad that I not only started a second channel, but that I deleted Instagram because it doesn't help the cause at all. We can all combat the anxiety of not being a people pleaser together.
One of the first times I remember things getting messy was during the Black Lives Matter process in 2020. So everybody was posting the black squares on Instagram for Blackout Tuesday, and people noticed that Kelly didn't jump on it right away, or when she did, it wasn't the way that they wanted. That moment just spiraled into people just calling her an Oreo.
My dad passed away suddenly, quite randomly. There really was no warning. It was like a week and a half warning, right? No one in his family called me. One person did, and he had the nerve to get smart with me over something. I dealt with that alone, okay? I'm not bragging about that hardship, but hear me out. During this already horrible time, which I'm still dealing with, grieving, right? And I'm living in the smack dab middle of Manhattan. I got people telling me, why aren't you using your voice to speak about these issues? Why aren't you using this? I'm like, do you think I'm concerned about that right now? Okay, mind you, there's this noise, right? And then there's this noise of, oh my goodness, this like just happened to me. My life has forever changed. I have to learn how to live without my dad in it. I don't know how you would call it, hospice care nurse, something like that. Had the nerve to kind of just get way too deep and involved. Basically, this person is feuding with me saying, I want this from, inheritance. I want this. By the way, I didn't get an inheritance. I'm not rich by any means. I did not inherit anything of that sort. I inherited some old Jet magazines and some beer bottles. And some Black and Mild, just to be clear. I'm talking about a vehicle and some possessions, right? This woman, who's in a very, what I consider to be low vibrational energy, okay, that's my gracious way of saying she's mean. She really had the nerve amongst my grieving to try to fight with me over the one thing he had, which he specifically said to my mom and I, that is for Kelly. She's never had a car before. I'm leaving that for her. Granted, he had dementia, whatever. He doesn't know that at the time I was living in New York City, I did not need a car. There's no way to communicate to someone with dementia, so that's a whole different thing. I'm dealing with demented dad on my own, don't know what's going on, don't know how to explain this. I'm living with like 4 roommates in New York City, making ends meet as a brand new budding YouTuber. I got people attacking me on social media saying, you're black, why aren't you talking about this? Kelly, you're female, why aren't you talking about this? Da, 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 da. Naming all these like things that make me a minority. Although there's something minor about my existence, they are spending all this time telling me what I should and should not be doing. Guess what? I had grace for all these people. I forgave the people who were nasty to me online. I forgave this lady, even though she doesn't deserve it. I forgave this terrible, nasty person who was trying to fight with me over the little bit of possessions that my dad had. By the way, I gave it to her. I actually ended up needing a car because I ended up moving down to Florida, right? But I bought my own fan money. That was the last thing he left for me. He left that for me and I let her have it. Guess what happened? The next day, I kid you not, I get this, I don't know why, this one particular video blew up, and then I got a brand deal where it was paying me more than the car value itself, plus more. Basically, I got a really fat paycheck from 3 different sources the next day.
And then I got invited on a trip to go to a fashion show somewhere. This happened literally the next day. I didn't go to that fashion show because I was too busy grieving. But I chose to, like, grace to forgive these people attacking me, writing me nasty things on social media. Horrible, horrible time in my life. I said, you know what? I choose forgiveness. I prayed that night. You don't have to pray, but I'm just telling you guys. I prayed and I said, give me the grace to deal with these people. I feel like I'm not equipped for this. I keep swinging my ponytail, by the way, because I just look crazy, and I just felt compelled to make this video. I was actually driving to get sushi. But anyway, I found the grace in my heart to forgive. And I'm like going through this horrible time, and boom, the next day, I was blessed. Okay? So my point is, those who can't forgive oftentimes forget all that they've been forgiven for. Oh, look at that good lighting. Stay right there, sir. Those who can't forgive oftentimes forget all that they have been forgiven for. There we go. I'm saying that right.
This is an Oreo. This is a human, which you should not consume. Cannibalism is bad, bad. Stop calling me an Oreo. Stop. It's rude. It's ignorant. Probably true. It is so fucked up living in a super white area, being a black woman. All right, I'll have the report back to you next week. All right, thanks. See you next week. You know, you're so pretty for a black girl. Thanks. You're so handsome for a racist. Every time I have a job interview, the reaction is just priceless. All right, Kelly Stamps. Kelly Stamps. Hi, so nice to meet you. Wow, you don't sound like other black people. What were you expecting me to sound like? Telling me I sound nice for a black girl is not a compliment. Someone this week told me, but you're not, like, black. I'm not black? What? You know, since being black isn't enough to prove that I am indeed black, let's go find stereotypical things about my life to prove that I am black.
Basically, when someone calls you an Oreo, they're questioning how black enough you are. So yeah, I've been called an Oreo before. I've been called an Oreo before, and the reason why I was called an Oreo was because someone just looked at me and the person was like, for someone who grew up back at home, you're an Oreo. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Because I grew up back at home, I should come out doing what? Excuse me. People have this very dumb perspective of how people in Nigeria live, but that's a story for another day. But basically, people are like, she was not black enough. And I remember seeing the conversations around it and thinking, this is exactly the impossible spots that public figures get put in. Kelly always branded herself as unbothered and non-political, which is not good, because if you are non-political, if you're neutral about the things that are going on in this world, I'm not your friend. I'm so sorry. I'm not, because you cannot be neutral. In my own opinion, you cannot be neutral when your rights are being taken away. It does not make sense. But anyways, in that moment, silence or hesitation looked like not caring. Either way, she couldn't win. Then things really started shifting in 2021 and 2022. Kelly's personal beliefs came more into focus, and they didn't line up with what a lot of her fan base expected. She pushed back against woke culture, she tied her Christian faith to being conservative, and shared skepticism about the Panini vaccine. I remember people online just going in on her for that. To her, it was just being real about where she stood, but to a lot of her audience, especially during a panini, it felt dangerous or out of touch. Kelly was just someone that was mostly just conservative, according to her. I even saw Reddit threads where people were saying that she was leaning into controversy just to get engagement because her views were slowing down. Other people pointed out that being Christian doesn't automatically mean being conservative, so they felt like she was just oversimplifying it. It definitely split her audience, and then came the fallout with her own community. The Stampede used to feel like this tight-knit, positive group, but as the controversy just piled up and Kelly started posting less, things just got tense. Some fans turned on her saying that she had changed or become negative, others stayed loyal no matter what, and Kelly, on the other hand, grew frustrated with the pressure. She called out the toxic expectation, and she reminded people that she was just a YouTuber and not their personal friend, and eventually wiped her Instagram to get some space, which I understand. And I remember when she said that, it felt like her way of saying, I need a break from all this noise. Watching it unfold in real time was the kind of classic internet cycle. She went from the underdog that everyone rooted for to someone people nitpicked constantly. One day she was praised for her authenticity, and the next she was being labeled as someone that was problematic. But through all of that, she still kept a core base of fans who didn't really care about the drama and just wanted to see her content. So now let's talk about her personal challenges and transformations, because behind every viral moment that she's had and every controversy, Kelly was going through some really heavy personal stuff too. Like I said earlier, she had lost her dad in 2020, which was one of those moments that she didn't hide from her audience. So basically, she talked about his battle with dementia and then his passing. I could feel how raw it was for her. For someone who usually came across as funny and light-hearted, seeing her be that open and vulnerable just made her even much more relatable. People were in her comments and they flooded her comments with support, and she later said that it completely shifted her perspective of what actually matters in life. Looking back, you can actually see how that loss just played into the more reflective and sometimes spiritual side of her content, and that was when the spiritual side of her just started to take on later on in her content. Hopefully that makes sense. So basically, her mental health also took a real hit during her rise, because the crazy thing is she admitted that going viral didn't make her happy at all. She literally has a video called "Going Viral Wrecked My Mental Health, but I'm better now." And in the description, she straight up said that she was very happy uploading on her main channel until she went viral and it just ruined everything. She described how the sudden flood of attention and pressure to keep performing just left her anxious, it left her burnt out, and even questioned if she had ruined her life and her business. That kind of honesty about creator burnt out stood out. A lot of people look at YouTube fame as this dream, but Kelly showed the cost, the constant pressure, and the judgment, the anxiety that comes with just being watched by hundreds of thousands of people. I know I'm not as popular or anything, but honestly, I've always loved creating from a child. I've always been this artistic person, and I knew from when I was, I think, 15, that I wanted to be a YouTuber. I've been posting YouTube since I think 2016 or whatever. I think is I've always been like, oh, I want to be a creator and everything. And I forgot the part where people may notice me in public. And there was a time that everywhere I went to, one or two people would notice me. There was even a time where there was a girl that walked in my best friend when my best friend was working before. It was this year. So basically, this girl works when my best friend was working, and my best friend was like, "Oh my god, you look like my best friend Drew." And the girl, she looked like me. We had the same vibe and everything. And then she was like, "Drew," and then she was like, "Yeah, let me show you her picture." And she was like, "Yeah, oh my god, I watch her videos." Literally, even one time when I and my friend went out and my friend put me on his close friends, and the girl was like, "Oh, this babe, I watch her videos." And even when I go out, people are like, "Oh my god, I love watching you." I'm not the biggest YouTuber out there, and the people in the UK that watch my videos are not as much as people in the USA. And I can remember during that time, because it all happened back to back to back to back. I'm not gonna lie, and I had to go out. I think I had to go out. That was the time I was like, oh my god, I did not think about the fact that people are going to recognize me in public. Obviously, it will cross your mind, but when it actually happens, you're like, rah. And it's a thing where I don't know, I'm not trained for that. And in case you guys don't know, I'm very introverted. But I've met people, even the time I went for an interview, I met someone that was working at where I went to have my interview. And I'm so grateful that I've met people who are so nice, that have walked up to me and expressed how much they watch my videos and everything, and how much they this. I'm so grateful that I've not had a weirdo that has come up to me. I'm so grateful for that, literally. And but the thing what I'm trying to say is sometimes you just forget the fact that there's some people that can be weird and can walk up to you, and again it could amp up your anxiety. It could make you much more anxious. I remember that time my heart was literally beating, because I was like, oh my god, people will literally recognize me, and I'm this kind of person. I don't see myself as someone who has 40,000 subscribers. I see myself as I've always seen myself, like this laid back individual who is funny in real life. I'm really funny, and who just loves being around her friend. So seeing the fact that people recognize me in public is something that is still new to me. It's something that's still new to me, and I am still grateful for it at the end of the day. So I can see why her meeting people in public is anxiety filled, or gives her anxiety. Hopefully I'm making sense. But anyways, she talked openly about her struggles with anxiety and depression, and in earlier videos she jokes that quitting unfulfilling jobs and embracing minimalism just cured her depression. Obviously tongue in cheek, but it showed how much lifestyle changes just helped her mental state.
Are you feeling lost? Anxious about where you're at in your life? Perhaps because your peers have nicer things than you? Well, I'll tell you, if you get rid of all of your belongings, there's nothing to compare your life to. Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Kelly Stamps, and I am here to attack you at 9 a.m. In my 40 years of psychiatric practice, I can tell you that most millennials' depression and anxiety roots from not feeling good enough. We are constantly comparing ourselves to each other, and social media exacerbates the problem. I mean, look, I'm making you insecure right now. I am a 24-year-old psychiatrist, very beautiful, very rich. I have my doctorate. I understand. Trust me, I've been there. It's hard to not feel insecure when luxuries are just thrown in your face. I used to follow these luxury lifestyle influencers who would flash their fancy iced out $50,000 watches all over social media. When I made my first million, I thought having a $50,000 watch would make me happier. I thought owning something like that would confirm to all of my peers that I'm doing well. However, the more money that I make as a very expensive psychiatrist, I realize I want the money I make to stay in my pockets. So, instead, I have this simple, sustainably made watch.
Howdy. Everybody, this is Kelly Stamps, a self-proclaimed minimalist. Or these days, I'm more of a mediumist, because I have changed my rigid structure on what is right and wrong with me to purchase. However, I do stick to the general theme of minimalism, which is living off what you need and no more. So, in this video, I will show you everything that I own. I'm making this video in response to the many questions I got regarding my recent move. How do you move so easily? What do you do with your things? Can you show us everything that you own? Well, let's get started. This is everything that I own in my bedroom. Nothing. Just the bed, the bed frame, the rug, and my sock puppet, which I've had for a total of 16 years now. Ooh, I actually do have some string lights over here, which I turn on every now and then when I want to give the old razzle dazzle. Now, many years ago, when I was a young 25-cent postage stamp, I was so excited to get my first apartment. The first thing I wanted to do was get a giant wooden floor mirror, you know, like the ones you see on Pinterest, to check my outfits, to check my makeup, and then I remembered, oh wait, why would I try to impress people I don't even like? So I don't have a mirror. I don't see the point in having one. I do not care. This is the closet. Clothing tends to be the culprit for hoarding. This is my current clothing collection. Now, whenever I move states, I come up with a new fashion sense. Let me elaborate. So I am from California, if you did not know. Hello, Californian people. So my original fashion sense was non-existent. I used to just wear hoodies, sweatpants, dirty Converse that desperately needed washing, basic t-shirts. You know, I just dressed like your typical student running late to remedial math. Then I adopted some sort of fashion sense.
At other times, she was more serious. She even partnered with BetterHelp at some point to highlight therapy and mental wellness. That balance between humor and honesty is part of why people connected with her. As all of this was happening, her content just started changing too. She stopped trying to polish everything and began uploading more unfiltered videos. I remember her just posting one literally titled Stressed, Depressed, but Well Dressed. And this was in the video was literally a perfect mix of humor and her willingness to just admit that she wasn't doing great. And she also put stronger boundaries in place. She shared less of her personal life on Instagram and YouTube, realizing that constant exposure was draining her happiness. Eventually, she took it even further. She quit YouTube the way that she had been doing it, and she deleted her Instagram altogether in early 2023. That shocked a lot of people because People did not expect her to do that, but she explained that it was the only way that she could to protect her mental health and get the privacy that she deserved back. Another big shift during her time was her faith. She talked about having what she described as a calling. She even said at one point that God told her in a dream to start over. She admitted that she never felt Christian enough before, and that inner conflict just pushed her towards a new chapter. She even half joked and said that she was coming out of the Christian closet at one point, and for her this was about aligning her content with her personal growth, even if it meant losing subscribers who only wanted the old Kelly.
New focus, you talk so much more about your religion.
Yeah.
And I remember you said in that course of deciding what to do, you even had a dream where there was a voice.
Yeah, it's weird. It was very weird. I haven't had anything like that ever since, by the way. It was a dream, and usually I forget my dreams. I don't dream a lot. But this dream was a weird thing where I was in a car with my mom, and I think my dad was there too. But he was just kind of like in a restful state. And it's interesting because he's dead. So I'm like, that's weird. It's almost like he was there in the dream, kind of guiding us somewhere, but there was like a weird mist. And basically there was a voice, which I've never heard in my life. I don't hear people or see faces in dreams, but it just said it's time to rest and it's time to move on. That's it. When I woke up, I had this instant, again, it's hard to explain unless you have that spiritual connection with yourself where you feel that strong intuition. Something just said, start over. Find your people in life, not just on YouTube, but in life. And when I started talking to some of my friends, my former friends in New York about this, the people who only came up to me because I blew up and because I was good for their channel, it's very transactional. I took part in it too, the clout chasing and just trying to social climb. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear about it. None of them cared when I said, oh, my dad passed away. They're just like, I'm putting a damper on the mood. But the people who did call were the YouTubers, like my new friends now, who happened to they just happen to be Christian. And I'm like, why is that? Because they pray with me, they sit down with me, and I don't need an audience to all pray with me.
Yeah.
But I would rather inspire people to just live a life maybe a little bit more like Christ, because I try to do that all the time. You just didn't know because I didn't always talk about it in the past. Because as a people pleaser, I don't want to make people uncomfortable.
And so you were afraid that people, upon hearing you reference your faith, might decide to stop watching.
Yeah, because there's a lot of reasons to not like Christians. I live in the heart of it in Dallas currently, and they judged me. I had these funny shoes. They were like some brand like Golden Goose, something like that. And they had a rainbow on it. And this lady at church was like, you ain't that LGBTQ. And I was like, oh, no, ma'am. And she's like, and I'm like, why would you say that? What if someone wanted to come to church? They go, you know what? I want to learn about this thing Kelly Stamps is talking about.
And you've just shared two experiences with two very different types of people in New York.
Yeah.
With creators living that hot influencer lifestyle, you sharing hey, I'm going through a lot.
Yeah.
Not getting the support when you talk about your faith versus you're in Dallas, you're at a church and a woman's going after you for wearing rainbow colored clothes. It's almost like in both places, you're a little bit different.
Yeah. I can't relate to waking up thinking about what people are doing in their personal lives. And at the same time, I can't relate to just being blissfully unaware and just, I don't know, having a lifestyle surrounded by partying, heavy drinking, trying to just hang out with whoever just because. But I also kind of envy those people.
What do you mean envy?
Ooh.
She was done trying to please everyone. That was a bold choice, but it showed that she was prioritizing her peace over the algorithm. So in a way, Kelly's story isn't just about YouTube success. It's about what happens when success starts to eat away at you and you realize that you have to step back and rebuild your life on your own terms. So now let's speak about her legacy and ongoing projects. When I think about Kelly Stamps, she'll always stand out as one of the faces of that Panini YouTube era. She blew up by being herself at a time when people were tired of fake polished influencers. She had no big team, no crazy gimmicks, just Kelly in her apartment talking about minimalism, money, and life with that dry sense of humor. And it worked. So many people from the Stampede have said that she gave them the confidence to start their own channels or even rethink their careers. I know she did, and in a bigger sense, she proved that a black woman could succeed on YouTube without fitting into the usual boxes of glamour or over-the-top personality. And if her story was about success, it was also about the cost of it, because Kelly just showed how draining internet fame can get. The burnout, the criticism, the feeling like people own a piece of your life. All of that weighed on her, and instead of grinding herself into the ground, she did something most influencers are terrified to do. She stepped back, she said no to the machine, and in its own way, that was just as bold as blowing up in the first place. By 2023, she had walked away from her main channel and wiped her Instagram clean. Then she came back with something new, Senpai Stamps. So basically, this is her new channel, and the tone of this channel is different in the right way. It's slower, it's more thoughtful, it's more rooted in her faith. She started sharing about Christianity, about personal growth, about life in a more grounded way. It wasn't the same Kelly who used to joke about tiramisu. Oh my gosh, she used to joke about tiramisu or like take random trips just for content. It was a new version of her. And you could tell that she was at peace with that. She had been clear about that too. For her, it was about faith over fear. Faith in her new direction and letting go of the fear of losing an audience. She knew not everyone would follow her into this next chapter, but she did it anyway.
I'm not a millionaire anymore, but I sure feel rich. I became so uncomfortable with the amount of people coming up to me saying things like, I'm so unhappy, I wish I could be happy for you. People were commenting this as well. In person, people were coming up to me saying, sis, I'm jealous of the lifestyle that you have. I was unintentionally, I think, on my other channel, kind of inviting room for people to cause this like self-hate and envy. Obviously, me existing is just going to cause those kind of problems, okay? When you're fabulous, things happen like that. But seriously though, when I was making videos about how much I make online, how to make more online, I was talking about world domination. I want to have more. I want to do this. I didn't realize, what that really meant and what that would cause.
I'm going to save you all 10 minutes because I was just rambling. I think I was just feeling extra citrusy in my little top. This is all I really had to say. People want you to be successful, but not more successful than them. 2, I was being kind of delusional because of my community that I grew up with, because of my current friends who are doing way better than me. They're more educated, they earn a little bit more money. We are all kind of in the same playing field, so I'm used to going to my friends for support or telling them my accomplishments, and they're not upset because they've already, either experienced it or they're happy for me and they're inspired. Oh wait, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should, like I just had a conversation today. I asked my friend for advice on college because she's super educated. And I said, which school would you recommend in the Northeast? Should I aim for a private school, whatever? So when you put that together, I didn't know how to respond because here's the thing. I had to keep my mouth shut about faith for a long time. It's natural for me to mention the J word when giving advice. And my whole channel has been unintentional life advice, right? So I'm pretty wise. I'll toot my own horn and say that. But it's hard for me to respond to someone saying they feel worthless, they feel miserable, they feel anxious, they feel scared of the future. They just wish that they could achieve my lifestyle. I want to respond by saying, you realize why I have that fearlessness? Do you realize why I don't question things? Do you realize why? It's because I took all my worries and anxieties and I gave it up. I said, this is above my pay grade, leaving it to God. It's God's plan. I write down, do I have any little quotes here maybe? I'm always writing down Bible verses. I wrote down, comparison steals the joy of God's plan for you. Yeah, it's true. When you just compare yourself to others, it's just, God has a plan for each of us, I believe. But how am I going to respond to millions of people who now hate me because I'm fabulous and making all this money by saying, hey guys, are you mad at me? Stop. Just find Jesus. No one wants to hear that, especially atheists. They don't want to hear that, and I completely understand and respect that. So what do? That's all I had to say for this video, is that I just feel disconnected to the rest of the world, and I unintentionally pissed off a lot of people because I thought people had the same just like feeling of whole in their heart, just feeling just complete, and I was so wrong. Also, I didn't want to bring this up into it, but I think a lot of the extra
animosity towards me comes from the fact I'm a Black woman. And my entire life I've had this same problem, which is that I noticed there's no other ethnic or racial group of people who are so quick to tear each other down besides Black people. The really successful people that I know who happen to be Black all end up having like very few Black friends, because they end up not exactly trying to find white friends, but they find people who just uplift and support them. And more often than not, I mean, look at social media, look at TV. You don't have to argue with your mom. Don't argue with me. More often than not, like, we're the quickest to tear each other down. I don't know why. Not me. I don't do that. If I see another woman, like, there are so many influencers I follow where, you know, I don't even like their content really, because it's not really for me, but I just like it off the bat because I know I should support them. Like, I need to support you. Like, if I see some girl with bangs even, I'm like, I support you. Even if she's posting videos saying, Whataburger is disgusting, it's so trash, I'll be like, subscribe. I don't care. Because I see you as my sister. You know, if you like figure skating, subscribe. You know? But I usually don't get it back towards me. So I'm not going to get into this today. This is not an African American social studies course, but you know it's true. Don't fight with me on this.
That choice says a lot. Kelly's legacy isn't just about how big she got, it's about the fact that she was willing to leave it behind to be her true self. So guys, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I'm about to shower and sleep. So thank you. If you've not subscribed, kindly subscribe to this channel. Please put the black emoji. I don't know if there's an afro emoji. If there's no afro emoji, put a black emoji. And thank you guys so much. I really love and appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, bye bye. Please subscribe, like, share, subscribe, and share with your friends and family, okay? Share with your friends and family. Everybody, okay? 1 million views is the goal. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, bye.